What's up everyone, MK Tom Brady here, and in this video I'm going to talk about some of the mechanics that we can expect to see in MK1, or if you want to call it MK12. First, if I want to start by apologizing for no webcam, it will be back in the next video. I also want to say that I'm not going to be doing any type of reaction or breakdown to the launch trailer. There's really no gameplay there, it's just pretty much all lore and story. Instead, we'll be doing that for the actual gameplay trailer, which will air at the end of next week. So, first thing I want to tackle is the cameo mechanic. This is basically an assist, and the way it's going to work is very similar to a game that came out a long time ago, Marvel vs. Capcom 1, in which you had your selectable roster that you could actually use in actual combat. And then you had other characters that were not selectable to fight as, but were only available as an assist. And it's going to work that way for MK1. So for example, unfortunately, from what I have been hearing, if you're fans of characters like Sector and Cyrax, at launch of the game at least, they will not be selectable characters. However, they will be cameo characters, so you can select them as assists. And this is kind of how they're fitting the whole Mortal Kombat universe in here, where you're going to have characters that are playable in combat and other characters from the MK universe that are only playable in the form of an assist or as a cameo. So I'm not sure if it's working exactly like MVC1, where in that game you had a certain number of times you could call certain assists based on how powerful they were. So some of the ones that are really good, you could maybe only call 2 or 3. Some of the ones not so good, you could get maybe 5 of them throughout the course of the match. So I'm not sure if MK1 is going to do it where you can only call them X amount a round or X amount of times a match, and if some can be called a lot, some can only be called a few, or if they're going to govern it by special meter, which, by the way, I was also told the game plays 0.0 like Mortal Kombat 11, which means no regenerating meter. The meter is going to work like it always has in the past, where you're going to have to build up your own meter and build your own resources through actually playing the game. It's not going to self-generate. No matter which way they go on this, this is really good. For one, the variation system, I'm not sure if they've talked about this, but I guess we're going to find out soon enough. I believe the variation system is gone, and instead there's the cameo system. So for one, you're going to get characters who are more complete just at the select screen. And then you have cameos that are going to have different things. Some can be good for extending combos, some can be good for wake up, some for pressure, some for maybe defensive options, things like that. So you really have a lot of freedom in how your character is going to play based around how you want to actually make your style with that character based around the cameos that you're selecting for that particular character. So you're going to have a more complete character to start out with, and you're still going to have a lot of freedom in how that character can play based around the cameo you're selecting. It also introduces something that was not there in Mortal Kombat 11, which I think really a lot of people wanted. And it shows that they're really on the right track here. So the consequences of your decision, the fact that your choices are more impactful now, that wasn't really there as much in MK11 just because of how the meter was constantly regenerating. You know, the wake-up system was always there because everybody always had a bar. And even if you say, oh, go ahead and make them break, there's still perks to breaking away, like being able to get up and combo your opponent. So there was always a bar there. Even if you ended around with the last second breakaway or whatever it may be, the bar was, you had 1 bar back before the next round started. Mortal Kombat 11 really did not do a great job of making decisions impactful. But starting with the cameo system, you already see whether it's meter or X amount of times, you're not going to have it always available, and you have to be careful of the situation you leave yourself in if you find yourself with no bar or not able to use your cameo for the rest of the round or fight, however they're going to do it. The next thing is they've done away with breakaway from what I've heard, and I've been hearing that they've been considering back to breaker or just no breaking mechanic at all. Now, this is something that a lot of people have talked about, like either go back to breaker or just make it like every other fighting game where there's no more break. If you get hit, you have to eat the damage. This will be really interesting because Mortal Kombat has had a breaker since like 2004. So if the breaker comes back, that's great. If it does not come back and there's no way to break it, really introduces a lot of interesting scenarios that didn't really exist in Mortal Kombat in the past. From what I've heard, the super / quote unquote fatal blow type mechanic will still return, but it won't be tied to meter. Instead, it will be tied to, I believe, like a rage thing. But I've been hearing it's probably not going to come back once you use it on block, which is also really good because you had characters like in MK11, like Joker or whoever, that could use it for pressure, and by the time he kind of spaced everything out and played footsies again, he got back in, he could use it again, or characters could use them from certain ranges, they'd be pretty safe, and then within 10-12 seconds they came back again and tried to be used. So a lot of that stuff has really been corrected. So no breakaway, the cameo mechanic, as opposed to this is how you can have your freestyle as opposed to variations. All of these things really show that the decisions in MK1 will be significantly more impactful on the game than they were in Mortal Kombat 11. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how all this stuff shapes out here. And there are a ton of other rumors, that I'm not really, that kind of sound a little wild and outlandish to me. But overall, this game is looking to be really solid as far as a lot of the changes they've made based on the feedback that I think they've gotten from Mortal Kombat 11. And I think the game has a really healthy balance. No, it's not going to play like MK11. It's not going to play like MK9. It's not going to play like MKX. Like every Mortal Kombat game in the past, it will play like its own game, but it's looking like it will play like the greatest Mortal Kombat ever. But we have to wait and see more information. Gameplay trailer comes out end of next week, and I look forward to seeing you guys then.